Right now, on To the Point.
Without objection, the motion is adopted.
President Trump signs a spending bill ending the government shutdown for now. Why the funding fight is not yet over.
Tuesday afternoon, Governor Gavin Newsom announcing major updates to the high-speed rail project, but on Capitol Hill there are talks to permanently gut federal funding.
Plans for a new water park at Cal Expo are scrapped. What went wrong and what happens next? And Ukrainians who fled to Sacramento safety.
I cannot come back to Ukraine because it is too dangerous now.
Why their desire to work is facing months of delays. After days of debate and delays, the partial government shutdown is now over. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To the Point. I'm Becca Habiger. Today, President Trump signed a government funding bill that ends the shutdown and now sets the stage for an intense battle in Congress over Homeland Security funding. The bill funds most of the federal government through September 30th, while providing the Department of Homeland Security with short-term funding for 2 weeks. Lawmakers will return to negotiate potential changes for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Border Protection as Democrats demand more restrictions on their operations.
We're willing, obviously, to have this dialogue and to talk and to listen, but we are not going to concede in enforcing our nation's immigration laws and delivering on the mandate the president was given by nearly 80 million Americans.
Some Democratic lawmakers are demanding Congress abolish ICE, while others call for reforms to DHS policy.
Taking off the masks, putting the badges on, requiring the body cameras, real accountability for the egregious abuses we have seen.
California lawmakers are reacting to the funding bill. Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley today voted yes on the bill and shared his thoughts on what should happen next.
We need to find common ground in order to de-escalate the situation and make sure we don't have any more tragedies. And I think the way to do that is to have some reforms to focus and advance the mission of immigration and customs enforcement, to protect officers, to protect the public, while also dealing with these jurisdictions that are releasing dangerous offenders out into the community.
Democrat Mike Thompson also reacted today, condemning Republican funding for ICE and border protection. In a statement, he says, in part, quote, "I voted no on today's funding bill because there is nothing legal, moral, ethical, nor humane with what's going on in Minnesota. Enough is enough. My Republican colleagues in Congress need to grow some courage and join us to impeach Kristi Noem and stop the chaos." Tonight, Governor Newsom says the state is one step closer to laying the actual tracks of high-speed rail. He says the prep work is now done for the first 119 miles of the railway. It's a major milestone in a project that is over budget and behind schedule. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the update.
This is the phase, it's the proof point. Can't believe what you can't see? Well, you're about to see a lot.
We'll be launching track laying that starts from here.
Governor Newsom and high-speed rail authorities met in Kern County Tuesday afternoon to celebrate the next phase in California's high-speed rail project. They say track for the first 119 miles of the rail from Bakersfield to Madera will be laid around September.
We have the infrastructure ready to go. We're in the process of hiring the contractor who's actually going to lay the track. We've ordered all the materials, so they'll start now arriving at the site.
Shouldn't some of these steps have been done years in advance because we anticipated this was going to be built anyways?
There's no question that there have been some delays in the project, but in terms of where we're at today, acquiring 119 miles of right-of-way, I mean, this is land that somebody owned at some point. Once you have the land, then it's clearing it.
High-speed rail board member Henry Perea says materials are arriving and being transported at the site thanks to the completion of the railhead. Construction of that first 119 miles of track, the first operational high-speed rail line in the state, is set to be completed by 2032.
As we are doing that work, we're preparing the remainder of the 171 miles.
That full 171 miles between Bakersfield and Merced is set to be completed by 2045.
And we're supposed to be excited about that. It is well past time to stop throwing good money after bad and to reallocate these funds where they're needed, and that is towards our roads, towards our local transportation needs.
Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley is one of many to criticize the project for costing $88 billion to $128 billion more more and taking years longer than anticipated. As part of the package of spending bills passed by Congress and signed by the president Tuesday is a section proposed by Kiley to make high-speed rail ineligible for future federal grants.
That passed today.
And $928 million allocated by Congress to the project since its early days is being clawed back.
The fact that there aren't federal funding, that's not going to hurt the project, you are confident?
With the state of California now making the investment of $1 billion till 2045, we can go for 5, 6, 7 more years. So we're good there.
Jenny Ha, ABC 10.
And that board member says the project is turning more to state funding and private investors, and that international companies are considering bids. Well, are California laws working as intended? That's the question a new oversight project plans on asking. Today, Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas announced the launch of an outcomes review oversight project. The new tool is supposed to help determine whether a law is effective through a structured process. And if it's not effective, what needs to change? The 14 Assembly members participating in this process will look at about a dozen laws passed within the last decade, spanning topics from housing and affordability to energy and wildfire recovery. Assembly member Liz Ortega tells us she volunteered to be part of this new process for the sake of accountability.
You know, we can pass amazing laws, great laws in the state of California, but they're not doing anyone any good if they're not being implemented and prioritized. So this is exciting to be able to look back and take a look at what's working and what's not, and then figure out a way to fix the problems.
Outcomes Review Committee hearings will begin in the coming weeks and continue throughout the legislative session. Community meetings are also supposed to be a part of the process, so lawmakers can hear directly from people the laws are intended to help. By the end of the session, lawmakers are set to report on actions and solutions to make those laws more effective. Tonight, the Newsom administration is responding to President Trump's statements that he wants to change how elections are handled. The president is calling on Republicans to nationalize elections in part as he continues to push claims of voter fraud.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Now, California's Attorney General Rob Bonta says the move would be illegal, as under the Constitution, the power to run elections is reserved for the states, not the White House.
I will say he also said the Republicans, not just a nationalization, but the Republicans should take over elections. Very partisan, very party-based. I'm pretty sure it's not a good idea to have one party be in charge of the elections.
The president claims the 2020 election was stolen from him, repeating without evidence that there was widespread voter fraud in Fulton County, Georgia. Still ahead on To The Point, the next time you reach for a water bottle in Tahoe, it could look very different. The tougher rules on single-use plastics leaders are considering. And the dream of a new Cal Expo water park is over, at least for now. What went wrong and what could be next for the site?
Spring-like weather continues this week in the mid to upper 60s. Plenty of sunshine, too, but still tracking a cooler and wetter pattern next week. I've got to look at the forecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight,
we're looking at this from every angle, but we need your help.
Still more questions than answers tonight in the disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. Police believe 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home near Tucson, Arizona. The sheriff's department said they are aware of reports about a possible ransom note and take all tips and leads very seriously. The White House says talks between the U.S. and Iran are still planned after a Navy fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone that was approaching a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. The U.S. military says the incident happened within hours of another incident where Iranian forces harassed a U.S.-flagged merchant vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. Russia launched a major assault on Ukraine overnight. The strikes reported today came a day before U.S. brokered talks between the two countries. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia targeted the power grid in 5 regions of Ukraine in what he said was a bid to deny civilians light, heating, and water during a harsh winter. Placer County is considering a ban on single-use plastics in Tahoe. The proposed rules would prohibit the sale of single-use plastic water bottles and styrofoam food containers. That would align with similar ordinances already in place for the cities of Truckee and South Lake Tahoe. Today, the County Board of Supervisors heard the proposal, though no yet on when they plan to officially vote on it. Well, Cal Expo is back to square one in its plans for a new water park. The site was once home to Raging Waters, a popular regional water park that operated for decades before closing in 2022. Cal Expo selected California Dreamin' Entertainment to redevelop the property and build a new water park. But Cal Expo says the deal unraveled over an unresolved past due balance. We reached out to California Dreamin' Entertainment. We have not yet heard back. And now we turn to ABC 10 meteorologist Brendan Minchef. Brendan, it was a lovely afternoon. We finally saw some sun.
Yeah, very similar to yesterday, and we were in those mid-60s to even upper 60s across the valley. Very spring-like, not very much like the beginning of February. 66, the warmest day of the year so far in Sacramento. 69 Vacaville, 69 Fairfield, 62 in Stockton, 64 in Modesto, and temperatures in the valley a bit warmer than 5 degrees above usual for the time of year. And if you enjoyed that, we've got more of that on the way this week. We've had some prescribed burns going on. This is in Calaveras County. This is what the Alert California camera looked like between 11 o'clock this morning and 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can see that smoke was also picked up on satellite there just south of Highway 88. Right now, 58 in Sacramento, 53 Stockton, 58 in Modesto, 57 in Vacaville, 36 in Truckee, 36 in Tahoe. Tower Bridge, 58 degrees, clear at the moment, but the lack of wind and just a very similar setup means we're going to see some fog developing across the valley once again overnight tonight. So temperatures falling through the 40s. There's that dense fog advisory, but again, like what we had earlier this morning, that dense fog advisory is for the San Joaquin Valley and not the entirety of the Sacramento and San Joaquin Valley and Delta combined, right? So 41 in Sacramento, 40 in Elk Grove, 42 Stockton, 43 in Modesto, about 39 in Fairfield, 41 in Vacaville. Some dense fog. Other places really won't see that much fog at all. Wednesday afternoon, low to mid 60s across most of the valley. Some upper 60s too, though. 66 Marysville, 66 in Oroville, 68 in Colusa. We got 70 in Angels Camp, 71 in Sonora. Low to mid 50s in the high country. High pressure continues to sit overhead for the next few days. A passing low pressure system is going to bring us some clouds, start to knock down some temperatures over the weekend. But the one that's going to bring us some rain and snow chances arrives on Monday, continues through about Thursday. Off and on light shower chances for the valley. This is going to be that pattern flip. We're just monitoring for now, cooler and wetter next week, but this is not by any means a big storm. And as we look back at the rainy season, here's what our average rainfall is. Here's what we've actually seen. So plenty of rain in November is what's carrying us through, but below average in December and January. This storm is not going to boost those numbers all that much. A quarter inch of rain or less in the valley next week. Becca?
Brendan, thank you. Well, still ahead, ABC 10's Laura Painter will join us to share the story of Ukrainians who escaped danger and now face work permit delays, leaving them in limbo. Some members of our local Ukrainian community say they're facing a crisis. They say delays in their work permit approvals are costing them jobs, money, and their livelihoods. In an ABC 10 exclusive, anchor Laura Painter sat down with women who fled the Russia-Ukraine war and are now looking for answers.
Becca, local Ukrainians I talked with over the past 2 months have been worried about how they are going to support themselves after losing jobs due to application review delays. It's something that's happening across the country. While some have had issues resolved, others are still waiting. For Alicia Redko and her son, simple moments like these are precious. They're creating a new life in California, building new memories together without war, thousands of miles from Ukraine. Through a translator, she tells me about the dangerous conditions back home.
I'm from a small town in the western part of Ukraine. It's a Volyn region. It's close to Lviv region. My city is under constant attacks every day.
Redko says she came to the U.S. on the Uniting for Ukraine, or U4U program, settling in Sacramento in January 2023. The program allows certain Ukrainians displaced by the war to come to the United States temporarily, with support from U.S.-based sponsors. She's been a stay-at-home mom and wife who wants to be able to work. She says she applied for the required documents, and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services told her her case is being processed.
I've been waiting for my employment authorization approval for a year. I'd like to start working, but I can't because it's still pending. And I would like to get my driver's license.
Redco is just one of the thousands of Ukrainians in the Sacramento metropolitan area. The region has the largest Ukrainian immigrant population in the nation, according to the Public Policy Institute of California. Vlad Scotts is the founder and co-chair of Ukrainian American House, based in Roseville.
Do you know why there is a delay? Is this unusual, or is this part of the normal process? What's going on here that's different?
There is no needs for any new law, new budget, nothing, just issue with the paperwork. Because when we talk about those U4U legal Ukrainian workers, they came here legally. They were invited by United States. They were sponsored by American families. They went full background check, security screening. They have zero criminal history. And they done everything what the American government asked them to do. And 2 years later, right now, they cannot continue working because of delay on the renewing.
Scotts is also seeing stress on his business.
I'm also like business owner. I employ a few hundreds people. And me personally, I was supposed to lay off a few people. And they're very good people.
As delays continue, Uniting for Ukraine beneficiaries are running out of time.
Some of them received the renewal 2 months late, 3 months later. Some of them just no renewal, and they don't have any like support line. They submit all documents, they provide everything, they paid extra fee. There is no system to speed up.
When ABC 10 reached out to Immigration Services about delays, we were told requests will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis and were provided links to information about the reparole process and eligibility for certain Ukrainian citizens and family members. Scott says he reached out to the White House and his local congressman, Kevin Kiley. His office tells ABC 10 their advice was for people to reach out to their district office. That goes for anybody experiencing an issue with a government agency.
I earned my degree as an English teacher.
There is hope. After more than a year, Diana Coman has finally seen her work permit paperwork come through in December. While she's now breathing a sigh of relief, being able to work again, the uncertainty up to this point was nerve-wracking.
I was waiting a really, really long time. Many Ukrainians have that problem right now. So,
what is this feeling as those days go on, as these weeks tick off on the calendar?
It is stressful because I'm here by myself. I came here, by myself in September 2023. No family, no friends. All of them are back in Ukraine. I'm kind of building my life from scratch here.
Olha Tokarczuk also waited months for her work permit. Without it, she had no way of supporting herself.
I'm from Volyn region, but in 2020 I started studying in the State Tax University in the city of Irpin. And in the first days of the war, Irpin was almost completely destroyed. And I was left without my university, the place where I studied, and without the city where I was going to build my future.
Back home, her father is still fighting the war 4 years later.
I cannot come back to Ukraine because it is too dangerous now.
While Diana's and Olha's cases have been resolved, other Ukrainians, like Olesia and her family, are still anxiously waiting.
How are you staying strong as a mom, as a wife?
I find my support in the church. I rely on God. I rely on my friends.
Laura, what a powerful and sad story. Is Congress doing anything about this? I mean, this is happening across the nation.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And there is a lot of talk around this topic. In November, dozens of Congress members sent a bipartisan letter to the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, all in an effort to ensure Ukrainians in the Uniting for Ukraine program are not unfairly burdened by processing delays. Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell is one of those who signed the letter. He tells ABC 10 in part, quote, "For Ukrainians who are here and want to stay, work and contribute, we must restore a functional immigration and parole system. There is a bipartisan coalition in Congress ready to stand with Ukrainians in the United States. We'll have his full statement on our website, abc10.com. Meanwhile, Vlad Scotts has also started a petition on change.org. You can find that link on our website as well. So, Becca, really a lot of different moving parts here, but we'll continue to follow these stories.
Very good. Thank you, Laura, for your reporting. We'll be right back. Well, good news tonight for your big game snacking plan. The price of some popular snacks are set to dip by about 15%. Today, PepsiCo, which makes brands like Doritos, Lay's, and Cheetos, says it is going to slash prices in response to customer complaints about cost. Shoppers should start seeing lower prices this week. And of course, this comes ahead of the Super Bowl, the biggest snack buying day of the year. Well, thanks so much for watching us and inviting us into your home. You can always reach out to us at abc10.com. And you can check us out on the free streaming app on your TV. Have a great and safe night.